Hello, everyone. Dr. Susan Kay here with Dr. Bill Stayton, who is an ordained minister, psychologist, sexologist, and theologian. Bill and I go back, dare I say, 35 years, long time that he whisked me into his office in a way that I still appreciate and don't understand why me, that I got to be blessed to be in this wonderful man's back pocket for 35 years. And we're still going on. So it's not the end of the road here. We're just beginning with another phase. So Bill and I worked in the Wayne Counseling Center in Philadelphia. And we were very innovative in beginning what's now mind-body therapy. Today's generations take that we work with the mind and the body together for granted. But when Bill and I were the pioneers putting together my hands-on work as a massage therapist and his neck up work as a psychologist, sexologist, we really saw miracles, and we knew that we were on the right track. And today, that's my main work. We bring neck up folks together with neck down folks. And Bill is still out there doing his mission of bringing sex and faith together. So Bill's going to talk to us today and tell us about his book, Sinless Sex. All right, what's the tagline? She can edit this out. Sinless Sex, a challenge to religions. Okay, Bill, you're on.
Well, I'm Bill Stayton. So that you can kind of get to know me, I started out as a clergy person. I was ordained and I went to seminary and was ordained. And then I went on for a doctorate in theology in the field of psychology, because my goal was to teach psychology in a theological school. And I did teach in a seminary and received a postdoctoral grant after I got my doctorate from Boston University to do postdoctoral work at the University of Pennsylvania in the field of bringing together sexology, marriage and family, and psychology and theology. During that year, I really became convinced that my ministry, instead of going back into the local parish, would be in bringing together medicine and psychology and seminaries, religion, with human sexuality, because too often they're separated. And one of the problems is that psychologists are suspicious of religionists, and religionists don't trust psychologists or sexologists. So here I had my foot in both camps. And so my goal has been to try to bring them together, because my basic belief is that we are born both spiritual and sexual beings. Mm-hmm. And by spiritual, I don't mean religious. I mean, we seek meaning to our life, meaning to what we want to do, meaning to the world. That it's a concept of meaning is a spiritual issue. It's not a scientific issue. Science explains, so that in sexology, our research is explaining phenomena. And in theology, we give it meaning. So that was my goal, was to bring those together. And what I found is that all too often, when you look at barriers to people's sexual health, often the common barrier is their religious belief systems, which taught them negative views about sexology, about sex. And so my goal was to break that down and put a positive view of sexual health into a meaning that would give it a theological basis. So that is the basis of my book, is to help people to break away from sex negative dogmas to a healthy view of sexuality that is not related to sin. Because I believe that one of the problems that occurred was that religions and governments, if they want to have power over people, have power over their sexuality. And so that's then created a sex negative environment where our sexual behavior is often controlled by religions and governments. And so I wanted to take sex out of that, take it out of being guilt and shame filled, and provide it in a positive sexual environment. So I cover very important issues in my book of intersexuality, transsexuality, gender transformation, and cisgender understandings that are free from guilt and sin, and put into more of a theology of pleasure and responsibility.
Beautiful. Wow, that about covers it. Covers your work.
Well, our interview's over.
Do you include client stories?
Yes.
Great.
I'm a storyteller. I'm
Yeah.
a storyteller in my teaching and in my therapy with people, and in my sermons. I tell stories. And stories to me are the most important part of teaching.
Yeah. Yeah, because people can see themselves in those stories, or they think, wow, if that guy can do it, I can do it. You know, it's encouraging, it's affirming. And so grateful that you put in the stories.
And it's also normalizing.
Normalizing.
To me, that's a big issue, is normalizing the wide spectrum of sexual behaviors that, some don't want to participate in, but others do. And if I can normalize it and make it okay, because all too often people define what's healthy sexuality by what they themselves will choose to do.
Right.
And there's a lot of things that I consider now normal sexual expressions that I wouldn't even dream of doing.
Well, that's why I'm writing a book called Am I Normal If? Because that's what we hear, right? That's what we hear in our office all day. People,
that's right.
And it'll be even something like my eyebrows aren't even, or they don't look like the latest cover of a magazine. And so the quest that we have for them is, well, let's not worry about what's normal, because that changes on a daily basis or a fashion basis. But let's look at what's natural for you. And I think that's what you're saying too, is like, let's get to who you are. And as long as you're not hurting yourself or someone else, then.
Right.
Yeah.
And out of sight and sound of unwilling observers, and it's not going to be harmful to any of the participants, then I think it should be considered normal and age appropriate. And it certainly is without any coercion.
Right.
That a person has full power over themselves. To me, this also has theological meaning. And that's what I want to emphasize, in that as a Christian, I believe that Jesus, the most important teaching he said that he ever did was from his own Hebrew scriptures, because he was Jewish, he wasn't Christian, was to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and your neighbor as yourself. So that self-love becomes very important, because a lot of people don't like their bodies. They don't love their bodies. And so we need to teach self-love if they can then love other people and love the things in their life, so that love becomes then the overarching teaching, I think, of my therapy, my sermons, my writings, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still hold that model too, in that I call it you with you. Like you have to get you with you first before you can share it with another. You can't give away or share what you don't have for yourself. And so in our work, it is that they have to learn to love, accept, and express themselves in a more healthy way.
Yeah, I think this is most important. I think when people come into therapy, they may have a sexual issue with a partner or something else, but they have to learn to love themselves first.
Right.
Then they can transfer that into loving others, loving the things in their life that are appropriate, and loving whatever is primary in their life, or whatever deity or whatever is the most important thing in their life outside of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a lot around love, that whole paradigm. And isn't there like a couple pages in the dictionary what love is? And the same with touch, because that's also another one of my focus for health and well-being is, are we in touch with ourselves and each other? And what does that mean or look like? And to have healthy touch is something we need to be trained on, because a lot of times we don't know what healthy touch is, depending on how we grew up or how we were also raised or treated.
I also think that this is true in cases of deity, that when you think of a deity that is punishing or is, against your enemy, then I think we've totally misunderstood what spirituality, what the Bible is really about, or what scriptures, even scriptures of other religions, is about. That when you knock it all down and you go through, what you find is that the overarching arc of history is towards love and justice.
Mm, mm. Yes, justice. There's a lot in there that we need to understand and look at as a humanity. And in the sermons that I've done, I've actually done a few sermons myself here lately on are we out of touch with our humanity? Have we lost something globally and with each other that has this humanity piece be in question or needs to be looked at? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, we really misunderstand life when we put it into a we they kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do that with a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Us and them.
Right.
And them. Well, we could chat all day about the things that are very important to us that we share, and I really appreciate, all our years together and our future together. And in speaking of future, is there events or anything that you have coming up that people should know about, or how to access the book? I know you have a website with your book on, and any information
yeah, the website is www.drdrstayton, STAYTON, @cs.com. And my book is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, as well as the publisher, which is Luminary Press. I have a website on their publishing company. They're great. It's a group of women that that are publishers, and I just love them. They were very helpful in helping me with uh, getting my book out.
No, I'm sure they love you too. Well, thank you so much for your time. Always good to see you. And we'll be in touch with maybe some more programs for the Integrative Mind Body Therapies LLC. That is our mind body website. And we have on there our academy, the Institute's Academy, where we're hosting folks like Dr. Bill and other historical people that I've worked with, and some of the more current and newer therapies that are around diversity. I'm just completing a course for QTAP, which is out of Austin, where I am located. And they're putting together trainings for wellness providers of all level, neck up, neck down, to work in LGBTQ plus, everybody that comes after that. So yeah, it's this conversation works for everyone, no matter what your diversity, religion, or what your story is. What Bill and I share and talk about is available on different levels maybe, but it's available for everyone.